All right, you guys, we're back and we're live. Welcome back to our daily live feed as you are logging on. If you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com, Sean'sCoutureCuties.com, there's where you gotta go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. I just realized I've got this weird shadow on my face. I moved my desk a little bit and it's like making me look like I've got like a rash underneath my chin. That's weird. Let me turn this. Maybe it's this. It's a little better. What's up, guys? What's up? I changed up my background on here and I don't like the little logo. Hold on. I wonder if I can just... No, I can't move it. Sorry if I can move it. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. I'm going to hide that because it's just getting in the way. There you go. Get rid of it. Cool. All right. What's up, guys? Welcome. As always, we're going to give it a few minutes for you guys to get logged on before we get started for tonight. We are going to do a wrap-up of all of the weekend shows. Man, my lighting is just driving me crazy tonight. I moved my desk a little bit, and the lighting is all off. I'm like, what is going on? I've got all these shadows everywhere. I don't like it. Welcome, you guys. Holly, you need to go get some rest. Holly just had freaking surgery today, and she's on here. She bought a CCTS ticket. Oh, my Lanta. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Yeah, say hi when you get on here. Just resting. Yeah, true. This is very I guess relaxing. I wouldn't say it's relaxing, but it's non-stressful to be watching me, right? You know, if you're sitting there doing nothing, at least it keeps you occupied, right? All right. How's everybody's day going? We have lots to talk about tonight. Cuties Conquering the Stage tickets launched are live and they are going fast. As I told you guys before, we already had pre-sold 17 of them, so we only have 43 coming in and they've been going quickly. So if you're thinking about coming, make sure you get on that right away, okay? So what else is there to do waiting for a hurricane? Right, yeah. So the hurricane thing, like I was supposed to start shooting our podcast with Jordan today, and we decided to delay that because of the hurricane so that y'all can take some cover down there. You know, last year we were thinking about moving to Florida. Man, I mean, y'all have been hit by a couple of hurricanes since then, so I'm kind of glad we didn't move. What's up, Kelby? So let's talk about this right now. So Cuties Conference Stage tickets are open and they are selling fast. Now, as you know, the early bird tickets are reduced in price. There are different options for the tickets too. There's different, we talked about that last night, center stage, all that kind of stuff. And there's also payment plans available too. We understand that budgets are a big thing. So, you know, if you can't do it all at once, we do offer the payment plan, which is a great option. Helps you budget, helps you plan, all of that. So you can really kick off your year on the right foot. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, too, if you go to our page, which if you click on the QR code right here, that'll take you there. The link is also in the description here on YouTube. It's in my bio on Instagram, all of that. So it's not doing anything yet. Well, hopefully it just blows over for you guys from the hurricane. So go ahead and check out the whole page. You're going to see everything on there that you get with your ticket. Okay, this is not just okay, we plunked down money, we don't get anything for it. No, it's all there. It's all there. You get everything, right? So yeah, always, yeah. That's one good thing about being in Northern Virginia. We really don't get any kind of major weather ever. It's always really moderate here, always. It's never really cold. It's never really hot. We don't get like hurricanes. We don't get tornadoes. We don't get earthquakes. We don't get anything here like that. So come to Northern Virginia, which is why we do Cuties Conquering the Stage here, guys. So even when we've had like weather events and stuff like that for the weekends, it's really not been bad at all. Like flights don't get canceled very often, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's really moderate here. So anyway, so check that out. Yeah, we did, but everybody got out okay, or they stayed for an extra day at the Ritz, you know, that kind of thing. So it actually worked out. It was one of those things where it snowed that night and then by the morning it was gone. So yeah, it was actually a few people were like, I'm just going to hang out and stay another day and just hang out at the spa. Louisiana just waits until it's a category 3 before you can pay attention, right? You're just used to it, right? Yeah, Virginia is really like that. It's so funny. So quick story, quick side note story. When I was a kid, I grew up in upstate New York. So when I was a kid, I remember being in my 5th grade science class and telling, like, we were going through these questionnaires and stuff of what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I talked about how I wanted to live in Virginia because it was in the middle of the country. So I wasn't south and I wasn't north, and I was right in the middle, and I could access everything. So here I am now living in Virginia. See, I manifested what I asked for in 5th grade. Right? So, but I really do love Virginia for lots of reasons. Like, it is, like I said, the moderate temperature and all that. It is beautiful here, a lot of history here. And we're smack dab in the middle of the country. So we can literally go anywhere within a couple of hours, which is fantastic. So anyway, that's my plug for Virginia. So with that said, yeah, Cuties Conquering the Stage tickets, they're open, they're available, right? So go ahead and grab yours if you haven't already. Like I said, grab it because they will go fast. They are going fast already. So every year they do. So let's go DMV, right? Yep, absolutely. We have a lot of really great competitors and great gyms and everything here too. You know, that the whole bodybuilding world has really come up a lot in the Northern Virginia area. We have some fantastic shows, all that kind of stuff here. So it's been really good. So before we get into tonight's wrap up of the shows from this past weekend, I want to talk to you guys a little bit because I'm gonna start restructuring these lives a little bit. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna do 1 live a week. Okay. We're not starting this until probably after North American. So like next week, we'll kind of start rolling on this. And the reason why I'm going to do 1 live a week is because of this particular reason only. YouTube doesn't promote and boost live feeds. So as soon as I'm done with a live feed, it just sits there. And unless you know that I'm here, and unless you know that I do these live feeds every week, you're not getting notified about them. They're not being pushed. They're not being put in front of you. So I'm restructuring how we're doing this, that kind of thing. I'm going to do, like we talked about the podcast with Jordan, that's going to come out once a week. I'm going to do a live feed once a week, and I'm going to do a pre-recorded video once a week. So you're still going to get your 3 videos a week. They're just going to be a little bit of a different format. So the reason I'm asking you guys this is because I want to know which live you want me to continue to do. So typically what I do is on Tuesdays, I come on and I wrap up the weekend shows. Whatever happened over the weekend, we go through and we look at all the photos and all that kind of stuff. Wednesdays, we preview the coming week's shows. So whatever's coming up that coming weekend, that's when we preview it on Wednesday nights. So my question is, which one would you rather we do live? Which one do you get more from actually sitting here and talking about live? Do you get more from the wrap-ups live, or do you get more from the previews live? The Thursday ones are typically what I do is I go through prep stuff. We talk about, presentation things, all those kinds of things. So that's going to be kind of included in some of the pre-recorded material coming out. Okay. So there's some of the stuff that we're going to launch that way. So the ones that I want to do with you guys live are going to be either Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights. So the live wrap-ups. See, I had a feeling that most of you guys would be interested in the live wrap-ups. I had a feeling that was going to be the case. Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather have a live wrap-up. Yep. We can't have both. I know, right? So, and here's the thing. I'll still do the previews. I'll still do the previews. And here's my thought process. If I do the previews pre-recorded, and more helpful, especially for newbies. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think, and I like coming on Tuesdays. I think it's a good way to kind of, even though Monday's technically the start of the week, I think that Tuesdays are a good night to start the week out, give you something to move forward with. And then I can remind you that I've got more videos coming out that you can watch, that kind of thing too. Because I'll still take the same time frame for the previews and everything like that, but I'll just do it. I'll just do it on my own, and then I'll put it up so you guys can watch it when you're doing your cardio and things like that. You can still come in and comment, all those kinds of things. But we're really going to try to optimize this whole YouTube channel so that it gets seen a lot more, so that you guys can get to it a lot easier. You can share it with people a lot more. And we just can't do that with lives. So we realized that through talking to a few people that are going to be working on the back end of the YouTube channel, that the lives just don't do anything for us as far as the algorithms are concerned. So we're going to start putting out more pre-recorded content. So like I said, same thing. I'll still do the previews like we have been. but it just, instead of being live, it'll be something you can watch on your own time. And I still want you to come in and comment. I still want you to say your 2 cents, things like that too. If you notice, like once we put the lives back out, I come back and I respond to all your comments, things like that too. So I'll still do all of that as well and continue the discussion in the comments. And that will help us with the algorithms too. So here's the thing, guys. This is one of the reasons why we're starting this whole thing with Jordan. You know, I really want to help to boost the visibility of the female side of the sport. And I've started doing that through the live feeds and through the Spotify channels, things like that. But when it comes down to it, we are at the mercy of the internet gods. You know what I mean? So if they want to boost our stuff, we have to do what they want us to do. So, you know, I hate actually having to edit stuff. I'll be honest. I hate doing the editing part, which is why I like doing the lives. Like I like being here live with you guys because it's a whole lot easier for me. just being honest, it's so much easier for me. But if it's not going to get seen outside of here, then it's not doing us any good, right? So I think that's a good balance. I think if we do one live feed tonight, and I agree with you guys, I think the wrap-ups are good to do live because y'all can comment in and ask questions and stuff like that too, as we're showing these photos and things and videos and all that kind of stuff. So you know, I think that's a good compromise there. And then we'll still get the traffic. And hopefully that means that if we start doing more uploads of like the previews and just the regular podcasts and things like that, then our lives for the wrap-ups will start getting more views as well. So that's the direction we're going to go with it. I assumed you guys were going to say you wanted to see the wrap-ups, you know, the Tuesday nights. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that's a great way to do it. So we're going to start this next week. So I'll start with my previews and stuff like that next week, being pre-recorded. We are starting with Jordan with the podcast this week. We are doing that tomorrow. We're going to edit it, have it set, ready to go for this weekend for you guys to watch and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, just be expecting a lot more content coming your way, really. Really. And make sure you got your notifications turned on and all that stuff too, so that you see it come up and all of that too. So, and the more that you support us, the more the women get seen in our sport, the more we can continue to rise up. Right. So, okay. We've made a decision. There we go. Awesome. Love it. Okay. Let's go forward with wrapping up this weekend's shows. Okay. Let's start. I want to give a quick shout out. Let me pull my screen share up to, I think this is where I have Tokyo, I'm pretty sure. I get jealous. There you go. See, I like it. I'm pretty sure I have, yes. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to Eureka because she did win the Tokyo Pro. We're not really going to go into this one. Because again, we don't know a lot of the competitors and things like that, but we do know Eureka, and Eureka's been knocking on the door, trying to get a Olympia qualification in. She did go out to Tokyo and she did win this show. I think pretty much everyone kind of knew that was going to happen. You know, she did place at the Olympia. I think she placed 12th at the Olympia. So for her, it was just a matter of hitting the right show and making sure that she brought her best package, which I think this is a great look for her. I'm not sure if this is the lighting or if this is in actually like a pink suit. It might just be the lighting. As you can see, the lighting in the background is kind of pink here too. So it might be more of a red, not really sure. But I do like this color on her. I think it pops off of her really, really nicely. So I think that was a great choice here. Now, again, these like, you know, Japan and these Asian shows and things like that have 1,000 photos under these girls' names. So you could literally sit here for, you know, and just kind of flip through everything and see it as a whole flip book right in front of you. So if you want to go see her every move, you can do that on NPC News Online. Let me see if I can find a back shot so we can just give her, like I said, give her a quick shout out here. Again, I got to go through like 15 pages of photos in order to find a back shot. So let me see. I think there's one here. Yeah, here's a good one. Here we go. So here's back shot for you. Pretty much bang on. You can't get much better than that. Hair's kind of covered on the shoulder a little bit, but I'm sure she fixed that along the way. Again, they've got 1,000 photos here. So hair's sitting right on the small of the back where it needs to be. Glutes are nice and round and full. Just enough separation, not a lot. We're seeing that little hamstring tie-in. Perfect. We're seeing the delts on the outside. This is a really, really good back shot. Now she's sitting a little bit with her right toe out a little bit, but again, this could be in the middle of a transition kind of thing because there's 1,000 photos on this website for her back shot. But I would just watch that to make sure you get that foot in the right position so that you're equal on both sides. But other than that, that's really the only thing I see with this photo, with this back shot. So I think she did a great job here, and I just wanted to give her a congratulations and on her Olympia qualification. So there was that show. That was the Tokyo show. Next one we're going to go through is going to be the Sin City showdown, which was our wellness girls here. And it really came down to the top 3. So let's see. Did I pull up the top 3? Who did I pull up? Yeah, I pulled up the top 3. That's what I did. So let me get rid of this one so I don't worry about that. So it really came down to the top 3 here. And they all had pluses and minuses. I really got to be honest. I think I would have probably put Andrea in the first place position and not Danielle. But I can see why they did it. So let's take a look at the comparison shots. I think that'll show us a little bit better than anything else. I watched a lot of the video that was coming out on Instagram, things like that. And I could see that they were kind of having a hard time with these 3 girls. And the main reason why is because they each had strengths and they each had weaknesses. So the main thing with Andrea is her conditioning from the backside, right? So from the backside, she's just not tight enough in comparison to the other girls. But I think her shape overall is actually better. I like her shape overall better than the other 2. So when you're looking at the front pose here, I mean, all day, I say Andrea, all day. Forgot this girl's name. Let me pull it up really quickly so that I don't miss her name. Who is it? Marina. Marina. So Marina has a little bit of a thicker waistline. And just to me, it's just not as aesthetic as the other 2 from the front. Her upper body too, to me, is a little bit much. Like you see her traps and stuff like that as well. She's got a great V taper into her glutes, something like that. But just overall, I just think from the front. And same thing, Danielle. I wouldn't put her in my first place position here from the front either. I would put Andrea in the first place position from the front pose. Just overall look, overall balance for wellness and tightness of the waist, all that kind of stuff. So that's my 2 cents on the front pose. Let's take them through. So you can see here clearly from the quarter turn, again, I would have Andrea in this position, this particular, and I know she's kind of transitioning right now, but I would have Andrea here. I just like this look a whole lot better. She's got that V taper, but it's not overpowering. She's got a little bit of delts, but not a lot. And her waistline is just teeny tiny. Now I know she's transitioning, so you can't fully judge that pose, but you can see definitely here the waistline's blockier. She's leaning forward on her front pose or on her quarter turn. Not sure exactly why she's leaning forward. Probably trying to do more of a pelvic tilt into the glutes, and in the process is pushing forward a little, but that's not the best pose in the world. I would fix this, a lot of mobility stuff here, just so that's a lot better of a position for her. But when we get them to the back, here's where I think Andrea, sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, lost, right? I like her shape and her balance best over here, but it's her conditioning is a little bit too soft. The other 2 girls are definitely tighter than her by a lot. Balance wise, I like her balance best. I think her glutes are way too big over here. I got to be honest, but her conditioning is better. So, and then here balance here, again, I think she's clearly in the 3rd place position to me. And it came down to these 2, but I don't know. It's hard because you don't want to go for the girl that's, I don't know. I would go for the girl that's a little too soft. That's what I would do. I would go for the girl that's a little bit too soft and has a better balance personally. Let's just take them through a little bit. Because I don't think she's really soft. I just think in comparison to the other 2, she's a little soft, right? So I don't know. I have a hard time with that. I would still have put her in first. But with that, I understand why she took second. So now that you can see her in her full quarter turn here, this is a pretty good quarter turn pose. So, I mean, I go back to, I understand why she won it. I get that. Not a fan of the shoes either. Not sure what's going on here. That's weird. They're just short and stubby. But here's where, again, her glutes to me just overpower her whole physique. And to me, that's just too much. That's just too much for me. I like this balance over here. Again, I get it. She's not conditioned enough. And this girl right here actually probably could use a little bit more glutes, right? She could use a little bit more oomph on the top here in comparison to the other two. So, you know, again, I go back to, I understand the judging. I don't think it was a clear-cut win across the board. I think they had a really hard time. I think some of these girls, like all three of them, had certain things that were good and certain things that were bad. And so they just kind of had to choose right down whatever one was down the middle. So I understand how the judging results happen that way. I just would have placed it. So instead of the middle being 1 and then 2, 3, I would have went 1, 2, 3. That would have been my choice as far as a judge. So I didn't look at the scorecards. I don't know how many points there were between the three of them, but from the videos and stuff that I saw, I do feel like they compared them a lot, and they were probably having a hard time determining between the three of them. So I get it. I understand. I think it's just a matter of time before Andrea actually wins a show. I think this was the one I was at. Yeah. So just real quickly, I mean, like I said, with Marina, what I would do if I was her is I would just really work on some mobility stuff with that upper body. I feel like she's really crunched in up on the top here. I feel like if she could open that up a little bit more, that would really help her here, and probably maybe pull some hair out in front of her shoulder or something like that, you know, just to help to bring down that upper body just a touch. Waistline is thick, but she's also short. So that's going to be hard. You know, it's going to be hard to bring the waistline in a little bit more. I think it's more so if she could fix her mobility a little bit in some of these photos or some of these poses, I think she would be much better off. Let's take a look at her back shot too. Here's the back shot. These photos are hard to judge from because the lighting is so shadowed. So, but I would say, you know, she could stand to use some more upper glute. I think her conditioning is pretty good from what I can tell here from the photo. I think her conditioning is pretty good, but I think she just needs some more upper glute. So she's a little shallow up top, and I think that would help to balance her frame out a little bit more. I wouldn't change a whole lot with her pose itself here. It's more so her front poses and her quarter turns where I would improve the posing. Yeah, I would just work on, I mean, maybe a pose tweak could help with this. Maybe stand up a little taller. Maybe that would fill her glutes out a little bit more on the top, maybe. But I think she just needs a little bit more size there. Let's take a look at, so Andrea, I just think that Andrea has a really, really complete package. Again, I had this same critique of her when she was in Tampa, that she was just a little bit too soft from behind. I was surprised she was in second in Tampa because she was definitely very soft in comparison to everybody else in the lineup. But she just has just a stunning figure overall, a stunning look overall. So my eye completely goes to her. She has really good stage presence, all that kind of stuff too. So yeah, I think she looks fantastic. But I think I really think it's just the conditioning from behind that's getting her at this point. It'll just be a matter of time if she can dial it in, but that's probably going to be a hard thing for her. She is on the taller side when it comes to these competitors for wellness too. So I'm sure that makes it a little bit more difficult for her. But yeah, conditioning. I mean, you can see quite clearly here that she just needs to come in tighter. I think she's got great balance from top to bottom, all of that, but she just needs to be tighter here through the hamstrings, specifically right here. You can see it. She's got great glutes, just needs to come down another pound or two, something like that. But as we talked about in Texas last week, size wins. You know, at the end of the day, Danielle has more size and better conditioning. So I get why she won it. You know, personally, show a back shot here. Personally, I think her glutes are too big. I think that's going to really be hard for her to get past when she's in the Olympia. I mean, kudos. Fantastic work, but I just think it's just too much. I think her legs are great. I think her legs are right where they need to be. I just think she needs to bring those glutes down a little bit because all I see is glutes. We talk about the fact that wellness is, a bottom heavy division, but you still have to have balance between the glutes and legs. So I would say keep the legs where they are, downsize the glutes a little bit. She could probably put on a bigger suit cut. That would probably help, bring them down a little bit from that inside part. Maybe that would help to bring them down just a touch. Just some little things that she's going to need to do in order to tweak this for the Olympia. But again, I understand why they chose her as the winner. Wouldn't have been my choice, but I get it. I understand why. So with that, let's move on to our next show, which I believe is this one right here. Let me just make sure I got the right one. We're going to go to Masters Olympia next. Okay, so we're going to just go through just bikini for Masters Olympia because we would be here all day if we went through all of the divisions. So first things first, Jessica Wilson did win this. That's who we predicted would win this. We figured that's who was going to win this. I mean, she clearly won it. So she's also one of our speakers for Cuties Conquer the Stage. For those of you coming, you're going to get to meet her in person, interact with her in person. So if you're not on the list for Cuties Conquer the Stage, I don't know what you're waiting for, what you need to do that. This will be her third year speaking, actually. So yeah, we're excited to have her back. One of the things that kind of surprised me a little bit, I know a lot of people were surprised by this, is I don't think she was ever put into the center for the comparisons, right? She was always outside of center. So even when they had the 6 girls, 8 girls up in the first call out, she was never in center in any of these photos. She was never in center. She was always on the outside. So, I was watching social media stuff come up and I was like, how is Jessica on the outside? And I kept thinking in the back of my head, I was like, I bet what they're doing is I bet they have her in first and they're comparing everybody else for second through fourth. And that's what they were doing. That's exactly what they're doing. So this is something that they have done, you guys. So you got to pay attention to this sort of thing sometimes. Just because you're not in the middle doesn't mean you're not going to win. And just because you are in the middle doesn't mean you are going to win, right? Jessica was just so much better and so good that they put her off to the side so they could compare the rest of the girls for second through fourth. So they were trying to compare Janine and I don't know this girl's name where's she from? Switzerland or something like that. Let me see. What's her name? Somebody help me out with her name. What is it? Nuka? Nucia? I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But what they were doing is they were comparing the two of them for that second place position. Okay. And then Carrie Hennick was in fourth. So, going through the photos, like I said, I was like, I said to myself in the back of my head, I was like, they just got Jessica off to the side so that they can compare everybody else because they have Jessica winning it. And that's exactly what they did. So, I mean, it's pretty clear here why Jessica won this. This was probably one of Jessica's better packages as far as her backside look is concerned. That has always been her critique in the past, that she needed more glutes. Now she's got more glutes. They're full round. She's got that 3D pop, all of that there. You can pretty much, it's like lights out from the back for her, right? So I have always said I thought that she had one of the best front poses in the game. And now her back pose is actually looking just as good, right? This is a really good thing for her going into the actual Olympia, right? She's actually gotten close to being in that top 10. And I know that that's her goal. I know she wants to get into the top 10. So it would be pretty cool to have a woman who's 42 years old get into that top 10. So cross your fingers and your toes that happens for her here. Because by the time we get to the Olympia, she will be 42. She's 41 now. She will be 42 by the time we get to the Olympia time. And I know that because we are 10 days apart. So I know exactly when she's turning 42. So yeah, I think this was her best package. Agreed. I definitely think it was her best package. And I hope that she's able to duplicate this when she goes to the actual Olympia, because I think she has a really good shot at being in that top 10 if she does. With that said, the other ladies all looked fantastic too. I mean, and this is something I saw commented a few times. Oh, isn't Masters over 40? Yes, it's over 40. All of these women are over the age of 40, every one of them. So I pulled up the top 4. So we've got Carrie Ann Hennick, who she actually was in the Olympia, the actual Olympia herself at one point. I can't remember how many years ago it was. It was a few years back, but she's actually made it to the Olympia in the past. And now she's doing phenomenal on the Masters circuit. You'll see her in the top 2, top 3 every time that she gets on stage. So she looks great from the back here. Prediction investors Taylor that apparently they completely forgot to call her. So Michelle Hurst, I didn't really look at her photos much. She was not in the top call out. From what I saw from her photos, I felt like she was over conditioned, but I didn't really look at them, to be honest with you. I didn't really look at her photos much. So I don't want to speak out of turn here. And I'm not aware of what actually happened or anything like that. So yes, Masters Wellness was very impressive. It was. We're not really going to go into that much because I'm not familiar with the competitors. The girl that won it, though, I do know I believe she was at the Olympia before in the past. The girl that won the Masters Wellness. She looked great. I think she was from Spain. But Carrie Ann looks great from the back. She just needs some more volume in the glutes. She's got a few little tanning issues here. I get the same thing on my booty, on the tan. It's frustrating. I think what happens there is there's a little bit of dry skin there. It just, for whatever reason, it's a little drier, and it is on me anyway. And so the tan, it just adheres to it a little bit more. So just be careful with that kind of stuff. Trying to tell Steve this. Pulled her out of the last second. The last call, they would have tried to reach us out. Oh, gotcha. Okay. I don't know. So, and again, I'm not privy to that, so I don't know if that's what actually happened or not. Okay. So with Carrie Ann Hennick, again, it's just kind of a size thing for her, but at this point, like, I think she's doing phenomenal. I don't think I would really change a whole lot here. Let's look at a front pose for her. Let's see. So where are you going to see the difference in Masters competitors versus Open competitors most of the time is going to be in the volume of muscle. It's also going to be in the quality of the skin. So you can kind of see that she's got a little bit of graininess through the waistline. That happens a lot. And I believe she's got children, which that also happens when you have children, that kind of thing too. And she just lacks a little bit of fullness, like in the shoulders. That's what I mean by the size game and things like that. But like I said, for Masters, she looks great. You know what I mean? And these are the kinds of things that we start seeing once we get over the age of 40. You know what I mean? So trust me, I know I'm there myself. I get it, right? So it's where your sit bones are. It's just more dry because the texture is slightly different. That's what a couple of tanning girls said. Oh, good to know. Yeah, it is. It's right where I sit. Is right where I get those tanning issues. So good to know. That's a good thing to know, right? Yeah, if only I could be at every show in person, you guys. Hey, like I said, we get this YouTube channel generating some good cash flow here, and I can use that to travel to shows. See how this works? See? Just saying. Help me out here. Help me out. So, but overall, I think this is a really great package for her, right? I think she did a fantastic job. And if I was her, I would just continue to work on filling out more volume, that kind of thing, more size. But I don't think I would change a whole lot other than that. So I think she did phenomenal. Let's see. So Nunca, I thought, looked fantastic as well. I believe I've seen her compete like once before. I think she did like Masters Worlds last year or something like that. I can remember her face, but I'm not super familiar with her. But I think she looked phenomenal. Again, this is a really cute package. Great taper into the waistline, nice and full and bubbly. Again, has the same skin issue we were talking about through the waistline. So she likely has children, that kind of thing. But she's got a nice full round look here. And I think it's really well balanced. probably could be a little bit tighter through the waistline. Like I said, that's about the only thing I would really change here. I think she looks great. I'm not a huge fan of the red lips, I'm going to be honest. With the red suit and the red lips, just tone the red lips down. Put some pink lips on instead of the red. That's a really bright red for that red suit. So, plus she's got the big Texas looking hair. You know what I mean? The Texas style, bigger the better. So I'm okay with the big hair, but then you got to calm the makeup down and just go a little more subtle with the makeup. So I would tweak a couple little presentation details here. Again, I did notice the skin in the waistline, but again, that's something that the majority of the women in their 40s are going to have to deal with as we get into this master's age. Let's see. Let's get a back shot for her. All right, so here's the back shot. She's a little off. Like you can see, she's got a little bit of an imbalance. So we talk about this all the time. I got to make sure that you can keep your back pose balanced through posing. The reason why she's got this imbalance, if you look, it's on the right side. She poses on the right side in her front pose. So that's where that's coming from. So guys, pose on both sides. I say this all the time. Pose on both sides, pose on both sides, pose on both sides. This is why right here. Okay. But overall, this is a really good look. I would say she's almost a little bit too square in the glutes. I would like to see more rounding there. It could be a posing thing as to why she's so square right there. It could be just a structural thing. Not sure, but that it just looks a little bit pointy on the outside. You know what I mean? Her waistline is a little bit thick from the back. So I would say if she can increase some volume in her glutes, that's going to make her waistline look a little bit smaller from the back. I would also change her upper body in this back pose. It's really hiked up and looks really uncomfortable. So I'd like to see her relax the traps and just let the shoulders broaden out. That would help with her width as well. Right now, she's just hiked up and scrunched. So just some little things here to change. And then I would say just add some more volume to the glutes, but overall really good package and, nice and round and full and all of that. She did a great job. And then we have Janine who took second. So we've talked about Janine several times on here because she does also place pretty well in the open too. She tends to place top 5 in the open. Some of the things I've critiqued her on in the past have been the waistline, have been tan, makeup, hair, things like that. Whoops, did I hit the wrong one? Hit the wrong screen. Pull the right screen up. There we go. I feel like her makeup looks really good this show. I like her hair this show as well. Suit, all of that looks really good. Nice and full and round. I think for her, she really nailed it. I think she did a really good job here. I'm not seeing any water retention. That was one of my critiques for her in Tampa. She had a little bit of film and water over here. We don't see that here. Again, she has the same issue with the skin that we just talked about with both the other two ladies. So this is a normal thing in the master's age range, right? Again, most of you women that are over the age of 40 have had children. This is what happens to your body. It is a completely natural thing. And that's why it's really good to see this kind of thing be celebrated, right? And it doesn't mean you can't be competitive because all of these women have it, right? Let's see. Go to the glutes. So back pose looks pretty good. I would say she could fill out a little bit more. She looks just a little bit deflated here. I know they've had issues in the past where like she comes in a little bit too tight or she comes in a little bit watery or whatever. So I'm sure they were trying to balance all of that. But what it looks like to me is that she could just kind of pop out a little bit more with those glutes. I think she's got enough conditioning here. I think she's got enough size here. I think she's missing volume. She's missing that 3D pop. If she had that 3D pop here, it would be a little bit better of a look. I think that overall this is a very good look for her, but I think she could improve the glutes by filling out that 3D look. I do think that this is a better tan than she's had before, but she also has some tanning issues in the back here too, which as Kelby just said, if that's your sit bones, that makes sense. That's where you sit. That's where it's going to be a little bit drier. Totally makes sense. So I guess that means we just have to stand for the rest of our life, right? So I just try to pop that out, fill it out a little bit more. She's also done a lot of shows this year. This is kind of thing that happens as you move along as well. You get a little bit deflated, need to pump that booty back up, right? Take some time, get off stage, eat some food, pump that booty back up. So, but overall, really good, really, really good look for her. And last but not least, we have Jessica. So Jessica, again, has qualified for the Olympia. This is her third year that she's qualified for it, and she's qualified for it in the open. Okay, so being over the age of 40 is not a death sentence, you guys. I think that this is one of her better looks that she's put on stage, like I said before. They said to over moisturize that area to get rid of that, exfoliate and moisturize that. And it's funny because I use some stuff. So if you guys watch Dr. Pimple Popper, I use some of her body exfoliant and lotion in that area for that reason, right there. So anyway, so I think this was a really pretty look for her. Very feminine and girly. You don't see that light purple very much. She tends to do these light colors, and it works for her. The light colors don't work for everybody. It works for her. Front pose, again, I think she has one of the better front poses in the game. One of the things I'd like to see improve on the front pose is a little bit more glute pop here from the top. That could just be a matter of just pushing back to this pose a little bit more. Maybe she's not completely in the pose yet. But overall, I really wouldn't change anything with this particular look for her. I think that this was spot on. And she looks relaxed. She looks confident. She looks like she meant to be there, all that kind of stuff. And that's all very, very important when it comes down to being against the best people in the world. So from the back, again, I don't think I would change much here. Now, for the Olympia, maybe come in just a hair tighter. Maybe just a hair tighter. Maybe take those toes in a touch. But these are all maybes, because if she has her pose like this, there's a reason why her pose is like this. It could be this is the way she has to pose in order to get those glutes to be activated and pop up and be nice and full and round. But when I'm saying pull the toes in, that may be a scenario that will bring her legs down a little bit and pop her glutes up. So we don't see quite so much leg and we see just as much glute. I would play with this back pose a little bit. Try to find the right spot for her, because I think she's very, very close. I think she's got that 3D pop now that she didn't have before. And I think it's just a matter of bringing the legs in just a touch and letting those glutes really fill out. If she can do that, she's going to be very, very competitive in the open at the Olympia. So she did get a qualification for the Olympia here at this particular show too for winning it, but she was already qualified anyway. So she won the DC Pro-Am. So this is her second win of the year. So congratulations to Jessica. I think some little minor tweaks, and she'll be very, very competitive at the Olympia this year. So congratulations to her. Now, let's go to Klash. That's our final show for tonight, guys. It's the Klash. So Klash was a decent lineup. Issa won it, as we assumed she probably would. I mean, she won the Olympia at one point. It is what it is. But we knew from Texas the week before, it was not a one and done, definitely going to win this, because she didn't win Texas. So let's talk about our top five. Before we go into the top five, I wanted to give Yulia a shout out, because Yulia did her first show of the season this year. She landed in the center of second call out, but then they started moving them around. And in doing so, they actually put her up into the 8th place position, which would have put her into first call out had she been put into first call out initially. Beautiful overall look for Yulia. Again, we helped her with her presentation and her suit and all of this as well. And in general, she just needs to come in a touch tighter, just a touch tighter. I want to see her hair done a little bit differently personally. And then other than that, I wouldn't change anything else. She does have a show in a couple of weeks. So she was initially targeting this show in a couple of weeks, but she jumped into this one because they figured she was ready. So she's gonna come in, and I think she's gonna surprise some people. I think she'll break that first call out in her next show. So I just wanted to give her a shout out, because she's one of our Pro Performer Promise winners, and she is starting her season right now. So congratulations to Yulia. And let's go to fifth place. So fifth place was Lori. Is it Lori? I think that's how you say it, Lori. So I remember Lori from Nashville Fit Show. She was real close in Nashville Fit Show as well. In the comparison lineup, I felt like she was standing too straight on to the judges. If you look at this pose, her shoulders actually out with her glutes. So I would twist this pose. I think she's too straight on to the judges here. And I kind of understand why she's doing it, but it's still it's just too much. You can come a little bit more straight on, but not quite this much, right? It actually throws the balance of her physique off a little bit. Her shoulders aren't quite full here, so I know she's doing this to try to accentuate her lat spread here. So I get that. I understand why. But again, I think I would just turn it a little bit. Her tan's a little splotchy, and it's also a little green, which doesn't help with the suit. I think that she went with the brighter suit because I know she had a red one and a green one in Nashville, and I remember she went back and forth between the two. So I think she went with a brighter suit because I think she was a little too conditioned in Nashville. But I just, with the tan color on this, it doesn't really work that much. So I will say she's got to keep working to try to find that look as far as tan and suit are concerned. But as far as the front pose, I would just twist it a little bit more. Not quite so straight on with that front pose. Let's take a look at the back. Well, it's going to go to the second page for me. Come on, NPC News. You got this. You can do it. It's live, you guys. This is live. Sometimes this happens with this there. Well, we're on the third page, so let's see if we can find see if we can go back to the second. There we go. All right. We got it. We got this. Okay. So my first inclination with this pose here is she's arching way too much. She's like pulling way, way back on that upper body. You need to relax. Not a fan of this suit cut. It looks like it's way too high up on her. I know she's trying to show more glute here, but it just doesn't work. The suit cut actually looks like it's like baggy on her from the back. It's not sitting on her right. And I would say she still needs to be a little bit tighter here, but I think more so this is the pose more than anything else. She's really yanking hard on that upper back, trying to do that lower back curve, and that's just not working. So I would rework this pose. I think that her back pose is probably better than what we're seeing here. Stand up tall, get those shoulders out so you got that width, and probably bend through the knees versus trying to yank back so hard with that lower back tilt. So just play with this pose a little bit. Play with this pose a little bit so you can get that those glutes to pop. Let's go to, and yes, Yulia's getting a new suit. So Wu Bai again. We talked about her the last few weeks. She's not moving up in the rank. I'll tell you why. She's not changed anything. She's got a phenomenal look, but there's just the things that we've talked about that she needs to fix. She still needs to fix, right? This front pose needs to be reworked a little bit. She's still a little bit too conditioned. She's still got her hand covering her belly button. She did go back to the red suit, which is good. Like the red suit for sure. She's a lot brighter. All of that. Love that. Feet are too close. There's just a lot of little things with this front pose that would make it a lot better. And again, the conditioning aspect, she's just a little bit too hard. So she's kind of stuck in that, fourth, fifth place zone because she needs to make some changes. She just needs to make some changes. Some little teeny tiny changes would make a huge, huge difference for her physique and her overall look. So let's get her to the back pose, and the same thing on the back pose. She just needs to stop bending over. Like you can really see it in these photos that she's bending. You can see it a lot that she's bending. I don't know if she's just not getting feedback or what, but you can see how much she's pushing here. Ooh, that's not good, you guys. That's not good. She's pushing hard here, and that's flattening her glutes out. If she just stood up tall, You know, she would look so much better here, so much better here. But because she's pushing so hard in this back pose, she's losing a lot of that fullness in her glutes. She's got a phenomenal look from the back, but she's just pushing too hard. She's just pushing too hard. From the front pose, she's got the etched in abs, and she's got graininess in her quad, and then she's got the dips and the cuts in her glutes from the front pose. And here in the back pose, you know, again, she's just pushing too much. She's just pushing too much, and she's got some really deep tie-ins going on here, which if she stood up a little taller, they probably wouldn't look like that, right? She'd probably fill out a little bit, and she'd be all right. So again, these are teeny tiny little tweaks that would make a huge difference on her. She should be in the top 2 at these shows. She should be in the top 2. She should be. So let's see if she fixes it. So next up we have Nadai. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. I believe I saw a few posts. I believe this was her pro debut, which is a phenomenal pro debut, if that's the case. So great overall look, great overall conditioning, great overall balance. This is a very effortless looking pose. Probably would change where the hand is right here, but other than that, I wouldn't change anything else here. Maybe just relax this arm, but she could be just kind of transitioning into the pose. The arm looks a little bit out there. Yeah, it could be just an in-between shot. Just drop the arm down. If she does that, then I wouldn't change anything else about this other than take this hand back a little. Really good full round muscle bellies, all of that looks pretty good here. Or she can just not twist quite so much towards the front with this upper body. She's twisted quite straight on. So let that S curve come out a little bit more. You know, Tyler just put out a video today. They want to see S curve. Think S curve versus X. This is more of an X. So we want to see an S. So just don't twist quite so much to the front. And that would give you more of the S versus the X. Let's go to the back pose. I think she's in the back. Yep, full back pose here. So let's see. Conditioning looks good, all of that. I would probably pull the elbows in a little bit. This is a little bit much on the width of the elbows, just because she's actually got a really tiny waistline. I'd like to see a little bit more pop on the outer part of this glute out here. That's going to be size related. You really see this come out when you're looking at the comparison photos. I'll show the comparison photos too. You'll see that kind of lack of volume on the outer part of the glutes when we get into the top 4 call out. But yeah, I would tweak this pose a little bit so that we see more delt versus more width in the back, right? She's got a lot of width in the back, but we're not seeing the delt pops on the outside. So just a few little tweaks on this back pose would make a big difference here. Conditioning is good though. And then once she gets that back pose in the right position, it'll really show it off a little bit better. But again, phenomenal pro debut getting next to these next couple of girls here. So, you know, we talked about Ariana. She just won Nashville. So talking about this show being a no-lose situation for her, right? She comes in, gets compared next to Issa, all of that, and she did phenomenal. And I think she's a little softer here than she was in Nashville. I could be wrong, but just based on the photos that I saw, I felt like I saw a little bit. You can see a little bit of water here, a little bit of roll in that lower back, just a little bit of inflammation, and that could just be doing, you know, back-to-back shows. That happens. You don't doing back-to-back shows. So I don't think this was as good as Nashville, but she still got compared to Issa, which is a good thing. Makeup's a little bit off. I feel like she looks a little yellow. Anybody else feel like she looks a little yellow? I think the look is just a little bit off at this show in comparison to what she put on stage in Nashville. Still great look. Just I think Nashville is better. Let's see. Get to a back pose. Here we go. I think this could just be the camera, or it could be that she's a little bit tilted off to the side because of her front pose. Because if you go to her front pose, this is her front pose side. So you see how she's pushed off to the side a little bit here? Again, there's that imbalance from posing, guys. I know I'm going to preach this to the day I die, but make sure that you're really working on being balanced from the back, based on how you pose from the front. Because based on this particular position, I think her feet, you can see this foot's a little bit further up. This one's a little bit further back. She's just off a little bit. And I think it's from that front pose. So again, make sure you're posing on both sides. Make sure you're keeping things even, right? Make sure that you're keeping things balanced so that this doesn't show up in your back pose, right? I still think this is a phenomenal look from the back, but I still go back to, I think she was better in Nashville. So I don't think this was bad. And actually, I think this particular look was better than Tampa. So I would put this one in between. I would say Nashville is her best look. This is her second best, and then Tampa was her third. So that's the direction I would go with the look. But still, overall, a really good, really solid package. But when we pull up the comparison shots, you're going to see how the waistline and things like that make a difference when she's standing next to Issa. So with that, let's pull Issa back up here. Okay. So Issa made a lot of improvements from Texas. Number one improvement that she made was her posing. Posing was 1,000 times better than what she did in Texas. She's also a lot softer. She also underposed quite a bit. Issa has always had an issue with overposing. Tyler talked about this in his video today, how she comes too straight on to the judges, creates that X frame. She was the reason why everybody in bikini for a couple of years started doing lat flares and stuff like that. It was because of her, because she overposes. So for her, she really needs to be cognizant of that. She really needs to make sure that she's not overposing and that we're seeing more of an S curve from her versus an X. Now you see how I was just talking about the other girl who's coming in third, who was really posed really straight onto the judges. Issa is not. She took feedback and she applied it. Now, where Issa's going to have an issue, and again, we're going to see this in the comparison shots, is her lower half still overpowers her upper half, right? So the reason why she's always posed so extreme was to balance that out. That's why she's done that. So the fact is she can't pose like that anymore because she's getting dinged from that. So she's got to work on balancing her frame. And I think that just comes down to she's going to have to bring the glutes in a little bit tighter. And she's going to have to continue to try to grow her shoulders a little bit. Again, this is a much, much better look. She's a lot softer. She's a lot fuller. She's a lot rounder. Everything is 1,000 times better than what she did last week. So she definitely deserved this win. I do like the suit color on her. I think it's a really pretty look on her. I would probably amplify up the glam a little bit. I think the glam is a little bit too muted. I would put some color on her lips, that kind of thing. But that's about it as far as the presentation. I think that the presentation details are there this week that were not there in Texas. So I think that's a huge piece of it. These details make a difference when you get to this stuff, you guys. They really do. Let's get to a back pose. Here we go. So I still think she's pushing a little bit too much in this back pose. See how she's pushing with her upper body and everything? It's kind of yanked back. So I would still tweak this back pose a little bit. Let's see if she doesn't really loosen up in any of these poses. She just needs to loosen up the back pose a touch. She's really pushing quite hard, right? Glutes look great, but she still needs to be a little bit tighter, right? She needs to be a little bit tighter. Now I know they wanted more glute fullness from her, which she's bringing, but now she's got to bring the glutes in tighter. And she's got a little bit of an imbalance. She's a little bit bigger on this side than she is over here. She's still got a little bit of muddiness in the tan from the back. That could be from doing back-to-back shows. Again, trying to get the tan off and putting the tan back on, but you can see a little splotchiness going on. So she's got to be careful about that. But you can actually see how her weight is distributed a little bit differently on both of her feet when you look at this pose, right? One foot's a little bit further forward. This one's a little bit back. This one's a little bit more towards us. That one's a little bit further away from us. Again, going back to because she poses on that left side, this side over here, when she's in the front. So all comes back down to balance and posing, right? But conditioning level, she needs to bring the glutes in a little bit tighter, and then just open up that pose a little bit more. Now let's take a look at the comparison shots in order to kind of show a little bit more of this. So here's your top four. We'll go ahead and go through the top four in the comparisons. find a pose where they're posed. I think that there we go. Okay, so they're all pretty much posed right here. So from the front, you can see that Issa really that waistline just, it's really hard to beat the proportions and everything when she comes in like this. Ariana is just a little bit, again, you see a little bit of wateriness right here. And her waist is just not as small. Just genetically, she's not as small through that waist. Now, I would actually give it to Ariana on her shoulders. Her shoulders are great. This is what Issa needs over here. If you notice over here in the front, her glutes are much, much bigger than her upper body. She's doing a good job of posing it down. She's doing a good job of trying to balance that out. But in the process, she's also covering her glute up a little bit, right? So if I was Issa, and I'm sure she's doing this already, trying to get into the Olympia and trying to get into that top call out and trying to get those top spots again, continue to work on trying to fill those shoulders out, right? And then going back to, you can see how straight on she is over here. It's too straight on. And then coming over here, same thing. We're too straight on with that upper body right here, which is overpowering the lower body a little bit in the balance, right? Let's get into the back pose. Okay. So we're in the back pose here. And you can see, again, looking at Wu, you can really see in this pose how much she's bending over, right? You can really see how much Wu Bai is bending over right here. If she would just stand up, that would be a completely different pose on her. Same thing here. She's a little bit bent, and you see how that suit cut is way too high up. I know she's trying to show more glutes, but it's actually not doing her any favors for it to be this high up, right? And then we look over here, and you can see that outer part of her glute is kind of shallow, which is what I was talking about with her individuals, right? So let's look at our top two right here. Issa obviously has the fullness and the roundness in the glutes and everything here too, but she just needs to be a little bit tighter. And Ariana is pretty damn close as far as the fullness and the roundness here. Like, she has a really good back shot. It's a completely different structure than Issa, but I could give an argument to her here. Plus, I like her upper body pose here a little bit better. Issa's upper body pose, she's still just tilting too much in that lower body, and she's yanking too much in that upper body, or pinching, not yanking, pinching. So, it's not a slam dunk here from the back. It's just not. Issa's weakness is and always has been her glutes, right? So she's got to figure that out. She's got to come in a little bit tighter, but she's got to keep that fullness at the same time too. So that's going to be her challenge going into the Olympia this coming year, right? She's really, really good from the front, but she still needs to work on the balance. It's all about balance for her. She's got a stunning look. She's definitely getting better. I'm sure she's going to take her feedback and she's going to work on it, whatever it was that they told her to do. So, she's got to keep doing it, right? So when I say straight on, yes, so this girl right here is too straight on to the judges, was too straight on to the judges. This girl right here, her shoulders and her chest were too straight on to the judges. So yes, too straight on. Again, remember, Tyler just talked about this today in his video that he put out. They want the S curve, S, not X in bikini. Okay. So, look at Ariana and how she's twisted. She's not all the way to the front. She's got an S curve. Okay. It's an S curve that they're looking for. Okay. But yeah, again, I think that Issa looked phenomenal here, but she's still got some work to do going into the Olympia. So that's it. That wraps up our show. So questions, any questions you guys have? Any questions? So again, going back to, if you haven't done so already, QR code, Q's Conference Stage right here. You can get your ticket right here. Okay. Link is also in the description box. It's in my bio on Instagram if you're on Instagram. So you can't miss it. Make sure you get your tickets. You're going to be in a room full of the best minds in our sport and beautiful women that you get to bond with all weekend and have phenomenal time with, and gain huge friendships and community with for the following year and beyond. So yeah, grab those. As I was saying at the beginning of this live feed, starting next week, I'm going to be going live once a week, and then we're going to have YouTube uploads twice a week. Okay, 2 YouTube uploads twice a week, live feeds once a week. Okay, and the live feeds will be these wrap-ups. We'll do the wrap-ups as lives. Okay, because I know you guys like those the best. Y'all chimed in. It was like unanimous across the board that you like the live feeds for the wrap-ups. So we'll do that. So we'll continue to do Tuesday night lives, and then we'll have YouTube uploads for the rest of the week. Any other questions you guys have? We'll be on live tomorrow. We'll come on live and do our preview for this coming weekend shows, and we'll go from there. And then we got North Americans coming up this coming weekend. So head up to Pittsburgh on Friday. I'll head up there on Friday. So. All right. Well, if there are no questions, I hope you're coming to Cuties Conquering the Stage. You better get your tickets before they disappear. So do that. And I'll see you back here tomorrow night, 8:15. And we will preview this weekend's coming lives. Or this weekend's coming lives. This weekend's coming shows. The shows coming this weekend. That's what we'll preview. Cool? You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, you guys. Have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you.